Kyle Shanahan's must-win moment, if it is at all. With injuries piling up and no Brock Purdy, as we discussed, the pressure is mounting on Kyle Shanahan. How crucial is this week's game against the Packers for his reputation and the 49ers season? All right, so before I kick it to you, Grant, for me, this is what I'm feeling. This is so ripe for the Shanahan Stan crew. Like, if Kyle wins this game, do you understand the rush of circle jerking that will go down for Kyle of like, I told you he was I told you he was the man. I told you. Like, my biggest thing is, I don't think that Kyle has any pressure here. He's absolutely no interviews. He's got no guys in. Nick Bosa is out. Brock Purdy's out. Trent Williams is a game time decision. We just found out Mooney Ward isn't playing in this game either, even though he's back in the building. Mm-hmm. There's injuries. There's injuries in the receiving core with Juwan Jennings still nursing. George Kittle will be back, but right now it just seems like the game is kind of set up for Kyle to have a blank check, right? Anything that he puts out there as far as progress is going to be looked at as, hey man, look at what he's dealing with. He's doing his level best. And then if they win, oh my God, hang it up. So how do you feel about this? Is this a must-win moment for Kyle Shanahan moving forward into the season?
It was going to be a must-win moment if Brock Purdy played and Nick Bosa played. And I'm not saying that Kyle Shanahan's like, hey, guys, don't play because this really takes the pressure off me if you guys don't. But that's just the way it worked out. And it's kind of convenient because now all of a sudden Kyle's in a win-win. If he loses, it's okay. Everyone expected him. It's not his fault. It's Brandon Allen. But if he wins, oh, my God, he might be the greatest coach of all time. Anyone who ever said fire this guy, fire yourself. I mean,
fire yourself.
Right. I mean, it would just be so much. And even if he does win this game, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the season is going to go so well. But yeah, I mean, he's in a situation where he almost can't lose this weekend. His stock could go up with, like we said, a high scoring competitive win. Not even a high scoring win, just a competitive loss. A competitive loss. All of a sudden, might look at him as, well, but then that would add to his awful record in one-score games. So yeah, I'm lurking. I'm not going to let him get away with it. I'm going to Green Bay to watch it. Some people might be like, "Why would you go? The game doesn't matter." No. It matters. It matters.
This one matters on so many levels.
You got
to go to this one. I'll tell you this. It also matters in the sense of every year there's a scapegoat. Every year there's somebody who ends up taking the brunt of the fall as to why the 49ers are not Super Bowl contenders or why they're not in the Super Bowl. There's always guys, right? I just think that, I don't know, is Brock Purdy being lined up as the scapegoat of the season? Because it's not going to be Kyle. I don't believe so.
I mean, if Brandon Allen plays well tomorrow, then yes. Because I think what the narrative will be is like, look, Brock, it's a lot of pressure for anyone to have that kind of a contract looming over him. And he kind of started trying to be Superman. He started passing up some reads that he would have taken, which is natural. You got to show that they'll like publicly try to make it seem like it's not a big deal, but they'll imply that it was him doing too much. And that to me was what Kyle Shanahan was doing at the locker. I couldn't hear what he was saying to Brock, but it didn't matter what he was saying. What mattered was that he was talking to him like this after a loss, like, I'm kind of pointing at you, man. You're not doing what I kind of want.
Now. Yeah.
That's the interpretation. I mean, that's the obvious interpretation. So now, again, they didn't put in Dobbs, who would go out there and scramble around, play on field, be a gamer.
You need this.
Not going to do that. It's Brandon Allen. It's like, go back to Brian Hoyer days. It's like, you stand right there and play like a statue and just throw the 7-yard out exactly when I want you to, and that's going to be better than what Brock was doing. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Allen does. I mean, I will say this, and I know people are going to want to throw tomatoes at me. Brandon Allen does throw well outside the numbers. He's got a stronger arm than Brock. He does.
Correct.
And he gets the ball out there much better than Brock does. I know that Kyle loves those routes because it's a way for him to cheat and get up the field quickly. But, Brandon Allen.
You could argue that, like, even when Purdy's having success, it wasn't a win for the scheme. It was a win for Purdy because he was almost kind of showing up the scheme like, hey, man, like, guys aren't open. The answers aren't here. I got to take matters in my own hands. But if Brandon freaking Allen can go out there and execute the scheme and win a game or put up points, like, that's a big win for Kyle. Hey, stop going off script. I have the
And
answers.
it's all about the look, right? We've all been accustomed to what the 49ers look like when things are clicking. And things are clicking when, let's be honest, Kyle has turned everybody into an offensive genius, right? We follow the leader of the clubhouse. It's the same way when Dan Campbell took over the Detroit job. Everybody just had an affinity for biting kneecaps. You follow the affinity of the lead man. And with Kyle, people don't know why the offense works. All they know is that when it's working, people are wide open. Guys are running into zones. They're playing with tempo. The runs are getting to the edges. All of the gadget plays work. And I'm going to tell you, if optically this offense seems to kind of get itself off the ground and have at least, let's say, a half, not even a full game, but let's say like close out a half with the offense looking better than it's looked, better relatively throughout the season, I do see the fans starting to look at Brock and say, like, all right, bro, you may have been doing way too much.
And it's like
Go ahead,
with
Clint.
Kyle too, it seems like his stock has never been lower than it. I mean, at least with the Niners. After losing to
Mhm.
Geno the way he did, a lot of fans were like, I'm done. If you put out a
I'm
poll
over
like,
it.
yeah, like whose fault is this? It's Kyle, like 75%. Like he was forget scapegoating Brock. That was over. It was all Kyle. There was nothing he can do about it. And now, like, this is his opportunity to change the narrative and get his stock back up. Like, okay, I know no one wants to blame Brock, and we all like Brock, and he's playing for free, and he's a great story. And I wasn't going to say anything publicly, but like, look at Brandon. This is what I'm talking about without talking about it. So it's his. I just
Exactly.
don't expect it to go that way. What I expect is, I don't know, the Niners to score like 10, 13 points and lose by a lot. That's what I expect. Maybe I'm wrong.
Man. All right. So at this time, I'd like to just take a
Brandon
moment.
Allen,
We're gonna get it. That's the next topic.
like
But
he's Brian Hoyer Redux. He's not. I know Kyle wants to think that
he's
he
not
can
a
make it work
guy,
with.
bro.
He wants to think he can make it work with a quarterback like this, but he can't. I don't think he can.